Awesome, we are recording. So please welcome, put your hands together for Taylor Quick. If she's gonna, there we go. All right, awesome. Welcome, we're so excited to have you here and talk with us today. I'm just gonna kick it off with if you could just introduce yourself and tell us your story, how you got it into theater, and just like all that jazz.
Yeah, so my name is Taylor Quick. I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas, based out of New York. I was just recently on the Anastasia Broadway National Tour. I understudied Anya and I played young Anastasia. Yeah, I went to school at college at TCU. I majored in musical theater. Growing up, I actually wanted to be a ballerina, so I had a lot of dance training, and then I started singing more, and I was like, oh, I need to do musical theater. It's dancing, singing, and acting. So that's how I kind of got into that. I did summer intensives in Little Rock, Arkansas at the Arkansas Repertory Theater, which is a wonderful equity theater there. Yeah, now we're here.
If I can unmute, Sarah, go ahead.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
First of all, how are you?
I'm good as we can be. The weather's beautiful today, so it's a good
It is.
day.
So my question is, what are some tips for someone who would want to be on like Broadway or tour?
Okay, many good things. I would say overall, this sounds very, like would be a basic thing, but always work hard because nothing replaces doing the work. Like anytime you go into an audition, always be like prepared as you can be because then you'll have no regrets. And, if they don't pick you, it could be something very simple it's most of the time it's out of your control. But Broadway and national tours, you are up against the best of the best, right? So just work as hard as you can and learn as much about the character or the project you're going in for.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome, Sarah Powell.
Hi.
Hi,
What was your audition process like for Anastasia?
Anastasia. Yeah, so it actually was long. I remember, so this was, it feels like it was yesterday, but it wasn't. It was March, I think 2018. So I had heard it was going on tour, and I actually went into the ECC call, which is just an equity course call for the show, not knowing, and it was for the Broadway show of Anastasia, not the tour. And it went really well. And a couple weeks later, maybe I got an appointment through my agent for the tour. And I don't actually to this day don't know if it's because I did really well at that ECC and they reached out to my resume, or I just got like my agent submitted me. It could have been a combination of both, just right at the time. But I remember that ECC was a long day and I didn't get to see to the end. But the team was really friendly, and so they brought me in for I believe the swing. Yeah, there was multiple rounds, and then they discovered like I'm a dancer too, so they brought me in later. We did. I remember one day we had to do a lot of partnering with the guys because there's a lot of lifting in the show. Like a lot of almost every number has like partnering in it, especially like December Dream, beginning of the show, all the waltzing and stuff. So they wanted to make sure we had partnering experience. And then I did point because I was one of the signettes, like the baby swans in the ballet. So we did that. And then they sang us later. We had to sing again. And they were making cuts through that whole day. And then I heard, I think it was like a week later, I came in for the team and did all the Anya material for the position of the understudy. And then the final round was with like all the creative team and like Aaron's and Flaherty who wrote the music, and obviously the music was in the movie, and I grew up watching the movie. So it was, I remember telling myself, you know, if I don't get it, like being able to sing Journey to the Past for the people that wrote it was something like I will never forget. And that was a huge accomplishment for me. Because I always loved the role of Anya. Like I always, even though the music is it doesn't mirror exactly the movie, but just being able to go in for that and knowing I made it to the end was a big deal. And then I was going into my agency to sign paperwork for the next show I was doing that summer. And they put all my paperwork down with a pen and I flipped it over and it was my contract for Anastasia. So they got to surprise me in person, and that was very special. So
that's awesome. And you said you went to TCU?
I did, yeah.
I went there.
Oh, really? No way. It's an awesome
school. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. That is a lot. Kyle, go ahead.
Hi. So vocal health is extremely important for all actors, and I was curious how you maintain proper vocal health.
Oh, so many things. Okay, so first of all, have a good vocal teacher or coach that can guide you on that, because everyone is different, but teachers that really know a lot about vocal health will help you. On tour, it's hard because you're traveling. And so I drink like a ton of water, more water than like I just always remind myself to do that. I don't go any like loud places. I always warm up, even when you don't feel like it, you know. And then along with that, I take a lot of vitamin C to stay healthy, you know, because if you're sick, it's hard to sing like that. I had a steamer. That's a godsend. It's My Pyramid steamer. You can get it online. Fully recommend. It's amazing, and it was easy to travel, so I used it a lot on tour. But yeah, it's so important to have a good vocal teacher to like navigate you through that process. Because I know singers who like have little tricks for them, and some people like don't warm up, or you know, everybody's very different, but that's just for me. I always warm up, and actually even if I'm about to belt, I warm up legit, because I was trained legit, and I think those are like the vitamins for singing. It's like how ballet is the basis of dance. So yeah, I warm up in a legit way. So yeah.
Who is next? Ashley.
Hi there. Thank you so much for doing this Q&A. I'm like so amazed by all of your stories about like auditions and how you warm up, because I'm super interested in like going into the industry when I'm older, and hopefully that works out. So I guess I kind of have like a two-part question. First of all, what is your favorite costume that you got to wear? Because the costumes for Anya like are amazing. They're spectacular, and like even the ones for everyone else as well, they're all so elaborate and beautiful. And then second, how what was your like process like of being an understudy? Because I'm super fascinated with like swings, understudy, standbys, and like all the different people who do pretty much the most incredible job in the whole industry. So just how is that like for you? And if you have any tips for covering different tracks while you're performing one, and then having to be thrown in maybe like just a random day for something else.
Yeah, oh my gosh, those are great questions. Okay, so the costume first. So Linda Cho designed the costumes for Anastasia, and I have never worn such beautiful costumes in my life. Even as an ensemble member, because I played young Anastasia, so our princess dress is the pink ball gown with the sash that is exactly like in the movie. I mean, she mirrored them. She did such amazing research that if you go look at the Romanoff family, their dresses were like that, and our nursemaids, we called them the onion heads. In the beginning of the show, they were like in all white and like had the onion garlic looking head. They really looked like that. So my favorite costume that I wore on my track was definitely my princess dress. And if you looked closely, it might be hard to see it, to have seen it from the audience, but like I had a blue bow in my wig, and the other sisters had like a pink. So Anya always had a blue bow, and the little Anastasia had a blue bow, and like my dress was a little bit more pink than everybody. But up close, the jeweling of these dresses were exquisite, like amazing. But I think my all-time favorite costume was actually Anya's blue dress, because
That was so pretty.
and I loved her nightgown. The nightgown was comfy. We loved the big red. Big red was very heavy. It's strapless and like 40 pounds. And I love that one too, because you feel so regal. But because I had grown up on the movie, I had like an Anastasia lunchbox in kindergarten. That's how much I loved it. But I always thought about, like when I think about the movie, I think about Anya entering. I think in the movie she goes to like the opera instead of the ballet, or no, yeah. But she wears that blue dress, and I loved how they put that aspect into the musical, and like the music when she walks in for the first time, and like Dimitri sees her in the blue dress. It just like it's this like tingly, yeah, feeling. And so I just and with it has like a glittery cape behind it, and it's like that princess moment, right? Like that reveal, because from Act 1 she was in rags to that, and yeah. But truly, I loved all of her costumes. Like all of the costumes were amazing. But I think the blue dress is my favorite. Okay, so as far as understudying, it was my second time understudying a role. The first time was it was a small regional contract, like a month-long show. So understudying we were on tour for a year and a half, is challenging, but it's so rewarding. Like I would encourage anyone, if you ever get the opportunity to understudy, to do it, because you learn like so much about yourself as a performer. It definitely can be like nerve-wracking, because they're like, they save the show sometimes, because performers are not robots. Like everybody gets sick, and especially when you're traveling, it's hard. But like understudying the title role of Anya was like probably the best opportunity in my life. But I remember that first time, like you're like, okay, it's kind of like fight or flight, and you're ready. Like when you're an understudy, you do, it's a lot of hard work, because especially because I performed every night. I was in the ensemble. So while I was doing my ensemble track, you kind of have a clock on wherever Anya is. So it's like, okay, if I'm standing here on my ensemble spot and I'm on 10, okay, Anya's over there on 2. And a big thing about understudying is, and this is coming from, I'm a perfectionist. So, not everything's going to be exactly perfect, because you don't do the role every night. But that's the exciting part of it too. Like, know that you bring something different to the role than anyone else. And people like casts, anytime an understudy on tour went on, we would get so excited, because it's they're going to say a line in a new way, and then that person's going to play off of them in a new way. And like I remember when our different like Dimitri understudies would go on, we would be like, oh, we've never heard that line that way, and you know. But it is a lot of hard work, but it's incredibly rewarding. It keeps you on your toes, right? Because you always have to be ready. And I honestly, I used to get really bad, and still do, nerves for auditioning and performing. And I think that going on for the title role really helps me with that. It helps me with my confidence because, you know, like I just took a deep breath, and like once you start the show, it's like a cannon going off, you know. But once you start it, it's just so exciting and fun. And like the first time I went on as Anya, the whole cast, like I remember singing in my dreams. I cry thinking about it. The whole cast was in the wings. And I was like, oh my God, like everybody's faces like watching me. And that's something that like I'll never forget. Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank
Okay,
you.
good.
I would like it. That's kind of like, I guess, a goal at some point is to like maybe understudy or be a swing at like some point in my life, just because I'm so impressed by them, and just to see what it would be like to be in those shoes and like have, I guess, that much pressure. Because like, you know, some people might get hurt in the middle of a show, and so you have to go on. Oh, that's my dog.
And
so
also,
thank you so much.
Like I want to add, when you're a swing or an understudy, the whole cast really like helps you. Like you don't feel alone ever. Like it's scary in the moment, but then once you get out there, it's just so much fun. And then a swing, I don't know, some of you may not know, understudying, I understudied one role, obviously Anya. Some people can understudy, I've heard of understudying maybe like 2 or 3 roles. A swing, so like our female swing covered almost all of the female roles. And then we had a male swing that almost covered like all of the male roles. So, and the swings aren't in the show every night. They would sit backstage. But companies are different with tracking, you know. We didn't have a standby. Like Wicked has the best standby, you know. So every show is different in that way too.
Also, I just wanted to say your hair looks amazing. Like it's just so full and beautiful.
Oh, thank you. It's actually like really big, so thank you.
Thank you.
Right. This question is from Kat, who doesn't have a microphone. So, what is it? I mean, you kind of already said this, but what is it like being an understudy? And does going on infrequently change how you approach the character?
That is an awesome question. So, again, I would recommend understudying to anyone. So yeah, there were times on tour where I would go on as Anya like one time, and then I wouldn't go on for like 3 months later. So over the course of those 3 months, maybe we got new cast members, maybe we got a new Dimitri, you know, or so. And also when you're an understudy, I should have mentioned, obviously you do rehearsals, like there will be rehearsals specifically for all the understudies, so that way you feel prepared, and you do them often, so you don't feel like you're losing what you learned in the beginning. But I think those breaks of in between, like doing Anya, the show may have changed. Like I remember one time when I went on, then I went on 3 months later, and the stage manager, who will give you notes, it's a stage manager on tour and on Broadway, they're like, hey, we actually changed the blocking for this scene, so you're actually now on this number. It's different from before. Or we changed this acting beat, you know, so basically you're never bored. You're never bored when you're an understudy. You're always learning something. And I think for me, it's always fun. And well, also in theater in general, you're always learning. Like even Meryl Streep, she's always learning, you know. So even the great people are always taking class and growing. So that was a great aspect of understudying. You feel like there's always something to learn about the character because you're not going on for them every night. Yeah, I hope did that answer? Is that, yes, thumbs up. We don't know. She's like, probably yes.
Renee.
Hi. My question is, when you got the news that you were cast in Anastasia, what was the one thing that you were most excited for about being in the show?
Oh my goodness. The one thing, oh gosh. That's such a good question. So, I think first and foremost, knowing I got to understudy like a monumental role like that. I mean, when the title it's Anastasia, I was like, that's so crazy. And at the time, it had only been on Broadway, so only like a couple of girls got to at the time. So like 3 on Broadway, like Christy, her 2 understudies, and then Lila, who was my Anya, and me and Beth, who also understudied her. At the time with tour, there was only 3 or 6 girls in the US before they opened it in other countries, getting to wear that big red dress. And I just thought that was such an honor, right? And the mix of me growing up with the movie and getting to play a character that I grew up as a kid, like loving and looking up to. And then I guess I don't have one thing. I guess it's multiple things, but getting to tour the country, like I've never been on a national tour and I'd never done a production that level because I haven't been on Broadway yet. But getting to be like, I'm in a Broadway national tour, like that aspect of it, which it is Broadway, but it's just on the road. And I knew we were going to get to go to the Kennedy Center, which is a huge deal in DC. And it was incredible. We were there for a month. We did like a whole photo shoot there. And, being a part also of the original cast of like the first cast of the tour, like long running tours like Wicked, they had their first tour cast like years and years ago. So getting to be in that original touring cast was just a really big honor. Yeah.
Nikki, and then we'll start getting to repeats. Take time.
So my question is, so for like regular understudies who that's their only job, do they travel with the cast the whole time, or do they kind of get like do they just travel when they like need an understudy for that stuff?
Oh, it's the whole time. So like the swings that sit off stage, is that what you're talking about? The swings? Yeah. So they're in the cast and they travel with us and they go along a lot. They do a lot because if I'm on for Anya, then that swing has to do my track. So yeah, they go everywhere with us. The only thing that really changes in every city, so we have a conductor that traveled with us, our music director, Larry, and we had 2 other assistants in the pit that would play the piano, but the musicians were all local. So like most of the orchestra, it was new every city, which was a challenge and fun, but the cast is always the same, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Sarah Powell.
Do you have any on-stage mishaps during the show?
Oh my God. Yes. Oh, so many. I'm thinking of some ones with like other people. Okay, this is funny. This is one of the funniest ones. Okay, so I was just talking about this last night actually with my friends. In Rumor, do you all know the song? It's in the beginning of the show, Rumor in St. Petersburg. So it's like where everybody's like, is there a princess? We don't know. And Anya's actually like introduced in that moment as a street sweeper. And someone I can't remember which city it was, but the whole cast is in that number, right? Which was one of my favorite numbers because the whole cast got to be together and we weren't really dancing. We were just like townspeople. So we could really like connect to other people and we didn't have to worry about like turning and jumping and being lifted. Someone, we don't know who to this day, farted in the number. And the whole cast realized it at the same time. So the funniest thing was, I guess this isn't like a mishap, like nothing, no costumes fell off or like a set piece, which that happened plenty of times. But it was all of us, the entire cast, like the entire cast, like realizing it at the same time, like as we're singing at the front of the stage being like, why does it smell bad? And like, we just were trying to fight laughter the whole time. One time I was on for Anya. You know the diamond scene?
I think so. Yeah.
She gives it to Dimitri and she says, you know, a nurse at the hospital found it sewn in my underclothes, obviously because she's a princess, but the diamond's like this big. I forgot the diamond. So I didn't have it.
Oh, no.
Jake, who was our amazing Dimitri, Steven was our first one. He was wonderful too. So I had to like, and I didn't realize it until I went to reach for it, that I didn't have it. And it's like this big. It's huge, which normally it would be like this big, you know, a diamond, you know.
Yeah.
And Jake did such a good job with it. I was like, hi. He was like, it's a diamond. And I tried to hide the fact that I didn't have it. I don't think the audience like realized it, but it was pretty funny to us. Honestly, I could tell so many stories.
There's so many stories I hear where the actor's like, you need to be there for it to be funny. And
there was so. My last one. This is Lila, our Anya. She, at the end of the show, the very end, where Dimitri's on stage and she runs out in the big red.
Oh yeah.
Like, sorry, spoil. This might be a spoiler, but she was running out, face planted in the big, and it's 40 pounds, and she was down on the floor. Yeah. And Steven, who was Dimitri at the time, he had to go over to her and like help her up because it's heavy. The dress is steel, like it's heavy and strapless. And you have heels, so you're trying to like get up, you know. He pulls her up and he's like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "Yeah." And then he waddles back. And the audience is dying. And I mean, there was like a 40-second break in the show. But I think, you know, audiences like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like being in a joke. And that was just one that was quite fun, quite funny. Yeah. And Lila took it like a pro, like she was laughing. It was funny. Yeah.
Wow. I'm just gonna end it off with, what was it like working with the kids? And I know you understudied. Did you understudy them too?
No, so I played like, it is a little confusing. I played young Anastasia. What they call her young Anastasia, but she's like the teen. Like in the beginning, Dance of the Romanovs, and there's like the little Anastasia, like the 8-year-old or whatever. And then I come out as like the 17-year-old. I didn't understudy them, but they were the sweetest little girls. We had 2 at the when we started the show, and then some would leave and come back. And having kids in the show makes it so much better. The energy backstage is so much fun. They were so professional. We had, over the entire course of the tour, Tori, Addison, Delilah, Eloise. Okay, we had 5. We got Delilah from the Broadway show. I loved them so much. It was like such a blast. We would play games backstage in one of the cities. They did school on the road, and their last day of school, the entire cast and crew, we surprised them with this end of school party. And that's still one of my like favorite memories on the tour, because like we had this like giant pizza party, like our company management, like we had a piñata, like it it was just so fun having that energy and like sweetness on tour.
Mhm. Wow. Well, that was a great. That's fun. That was a great Q&A.